What's up, everybody? Just wanted to touch base today, spend a few moments with you guys. Uh, Wanted to talk about mental effect about not talking about money, right? We have to break the silence on having fear of not talking about our financial circumstances, whether good or bad, doesn't matter. The issue that comes up is that, and the reason why people don't is because of many different reasons. For example, you feel maybe embarrassed. Maybe you don't have as much money as the next person. So you don't want to talk about it. You feel ashamed. Maybe you're not where you want to be in your career and making the type of money that you want to be making. And so you feel ashamed. You shy away from wanting to talk about it. Then you got the social stigma, right? You have people flaunting their high profile cars, their watches, homes, flexing, whatever the case may be. You may feel internally like, well, what do I have to share? What do I have to show for what I'm doing? But what we don't realize is that when we don't talk about our financial circumstances, we don't get the opportunity to better it. We don't get the opportunity to discuss it and get some advice on how we can be better. And so I want to share with you a little bit about me. My name is Amit Darji. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I moved over. I quit my job from pharma and moved straight into real estate 2018. Many of you would say probably during one of the worst times that came up with COVID, but it was a blessing in disguise. I traveled through it. I got through it, and I'm blessed to be where I'm at today. But it wasn't always easy. I'll tell you a little bit about how I grew up and how money was discussed. Well, it really wasn't discussed. It didn't matter what you were going through. It didn't matter what if you were in a good spot financially or if you were in a poor spot financially. Money was just not discussed. And I grew up that way. I grew up not talking about money. I grew up not asking for help, even when I was in dire straits. It wasn't until I got married and most importantly, I had my first child. And I found myself in a situation where I needed help. And I had to put my pride aside. I'm first one to admit it. I'm a very proud man of myself. But it was in that moment that I had to put my pride aside. I remember sitting in the car next to my wife, and she said, "Babe, you're gonna have to put this pride aside. We need help." And it was a tough pill to swallow. It was a tough pill to swallow. It took so much anxiety. It built up so much anxiety inside of me. It took so much for me to ask for help. And so I'm encouraging you to ask for help. Ask questions. Don't worry about what others may think of you. Because listen, whatever someone else thinks of you, it's not going to change your circumstance. It's not going to make it any better. It's not going to all of a sudden put $1 million in your bank account or $1 million going to get taken out. So ask for help. Ask for advice. You'll be surprised to find out. And I learned this by going through it. I went to a um, I went to a real estate conference. This was back in May of I think it was 2019. And I was nervous to ask questions because I didn't know how they would be received. But in the end, I realized in my deep down inside there was a purpose for me being at that event. It was to gain knowledge. It was to ask questions. So I had to put that fear aside. And it wasn't easy. By no means was it easy. So I started asking questions. And then I started asking deeper questions and deeper. And believe it or not, the questions got answered. And I took away from that yes, there may be at times where people may not want to share, but majority of the people want to share and help. And that is why it's so important for you to believe in yourself, put away that anxiety, that stress that you feel, because you control your destiny of making the change, to having that financial ability to live life, right? We're created to live abundantly, but it is our fears that prevent us from being able to do so. And so, as you marinate on this a little bit and you think about it, and I know it's not going to be easy as you listen to this and think about, well, admit it's easy for you because you've been through it. Yeah, that's true. I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars now and close to up into millions, right? It hasn't always been easy. But if you don't take the first step, you're not going to be able to make a change. And that kind of goes into the social stigma of things, right? There's this concept that we have to be like our peers, that we don't belong in this circle, or I need to have this amount of money or this and this to be able to fit into this social circle. And those are all lies. There may be some groups where, hey, they're just different status or whatever, and maybe a little uppity, I guess the word is to use. But take it from me, there has never been a social circle that I've been rejected from because of my financial capability or inability. If you ask, you will put yourself in the position of receiving. It's a monumental biblical principle. If you ask, you shall receive. And so these social stigmas that get put on us, and especially with so much out there through social media, people having fancy cars and this watch and this and that, this lifestyle, you don't ever wonder how they got there? You don't ever stop and think for a moment how they got there? Stop being so comparative, or stop taking so much energy out of yourself comparing people to who've quote unquote made it, because you don't know all the sub level stress, anxiety, failures that they faced. And all you're getting to see is the success. So focus on what it is that you want to accomplish. All right. And by doing that in your financial prowess, in your financial sector, you need to step out. You need to step out your comfort zone. You need to be able to say yes to yourself. Because the worst thing is living a mediocre life when there's so much more out there for you. Don't you want to travel the world? Don't you want to go do things? Maybe you do want a luxury car. Who's to tell you no? And the only person that's getting in your way is yourself. And you don't really realize it. So I'm encouraging you. And if there's any questions, you guys have any comments, share it below. Put it in the comment section. I'm more than happy to help. I didn't start off. I'll give you an example of a shift that happened for me, or it took some time. When I left my W-2 job, it took me 9 months to rewire my brain to think differently about money. And what I mean by that is now I became an entrepreneur. So, sure, money management had to start happening. And I was piss poor at it, just being very transparent. And I'm not even anywhere near being great. I know I could do a lot better. And it it takes something in me to say it out loud because it's important to me. If it's important to you, then you need to express it. And those 9 months I spent rethinking how money works. Most people have the outlook that you work and then you make the money, you put it in a bank account, and then you just store it there. But in reality, it's different. You want to take those types of funds and reinvest it. And changing my behavior about money is when things started progressing. Now, again, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, not even close. I'm learning every single day how to better myself in managing money. But I do that by asking questions to people who have already done it and are doing it, and not being afraid to ask those questions. Because the worst thing is, guess what? They'll say no and you'll be in the same position. But but God willing, if they say yes and they spare a moment of their time to give you insightful information, how profoundly can it change your life? So don't allow embarrassment and shame to hinder you from what is promised and what is yours. Don't allow what's happening around your life, the social stigmas, to prevent you from having what is yours. You were made and created to be free and not dependent. I'm encouraging you guys. I hope that this message is helpful for you. I hope that it helps you. If there's any questions or comments that you guys have, again, please put it in the comment section and I will definitely reply back to you. I love you guys. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow.